Hope everyone's doing good. I hope you're all doing good. There's some crazy stuff that's been happening a lot lately, particularly on social media, especially with, what's happening politically and stuff like that. And it causes us to be divided due to how we feel about certain things. And I guess division's one of those things where division will never leave, guys. I remember doing a live stream on TikTok 2 days before I had to go, and we were talking about that. Usually when I'm live streaming on TikTok, I could possibly have anything from 50 up to 200 people sometimes, and it's people from all different platforms, and we have a really good conversation. All different backgrounds, immigrants, white, whatever. It doesn't matter what the background. We always have a healthy conversation based around, what my personal opinion is, what their personal opinion is, and we always leave on a good note. And one of the things that I find is there's just different types of people, different types of people on all different platforms. TikTok is fast moving. Facebook is a little bit slower. Instagram's the same. It's fast moving. It's progressing all the time. TikTok is a lot more faster than Facebook. At least with Facebook, people have time to sit down and read articles and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that I can appreciate about being on Facebook and stuff like that, is you can actually read articles, you can write articles. That doesn't happen on the other social media platforms. So there is a different presence that is presented on places like this. LinkedIn is another one. LinkedIn is a great educational tool where you can read about what people are doing professionally. So I can appreciate that. We're moving into a generation where opinion pieces are no longer written. They're done, via how we're doing it here now. And there's a power in that. But I think that what happens is we've got to be able to discern deep in ourselves whether it is an opinion piece or it is based on facts. And that's one of the things that's missing on this platform, is we're moving into a world where it's filled with commentators that really don't take the time to fact check a lot of information. And I agree that sometimes it is a bit difficult. I shouldn't say difficult, because I think it just boils down to you jump on one subject and you're moving on to another subject due to what's happening politically in this nation, or we move into a space where you just couldn't be bothered. You're just going to jump on 2 or 3 opinions, and then you're going to have an opinion on that opinion, and it just keeps going and circulating down. And one of the things that I've been on this platform since 2009. This is actually my 3rd platform that I've had to rebuild again due to things that's occurred in my life. So I am aware that there are a lot of people that don't know me personally in the sense of the way that I view things, my faith and, family and all that type of stuff. And I think one of the most important things is that during the middle of what's happening politically in this nation, is we've got to get to a point where we all come to the common ground that we all have families, we're all going through stuff, whether it's financially, spiritually or domestically. There is so much happening in this nation. One of the things that I noticed with Pauline Hanson when she went to the Brisbane Islamic school was one of the things that I can appreciate about Pauline is she's consistent. She's consistent with her narrative, whether we agree with that narrative or whether we agree or disagree with that. She's very, very consistent. And I think one of the things that I did notice when she was talking to the three young ladies is she questioned them about their faith and where their belief system came for within their faith. And so that she already knew. She expected the answer. Like, she's not dumb. She expected the answer. I think we would like to think that we send our kids to school to be able to gain knowledge and, certain types of educational tools where you're learning historically, you're able to critically think. It's not so much an opinion, it's based on what you're learning, especially when it comes to history. That's not an interpretation, that's built in stone. It's history. And so I think one of the things that I noticed when she was talking to the girls, she was very awkward. She was very, very awkward. That was a fact. And it's not just an age thing. I think as you get older, you do become awkward. You know what I mean? You either get awkward or you become more relaxed. She realizes the pressure that's on her to show up consistently. But she has been consistent. And I think that's one of the things that when I watch her and when I've seen her, develop within the 30 years of politics, there has been a consistent narrative that she has pushed. She started off with Aboriginal people, then she went to the Asians, and then she kept on rolling out them. It doesn't matter. We're not going to change her mindset. There is nobody in Australia. She can be challenged till the cows come home. She ain't going to change her mindset. She's going to stand on what she believes. And I think that's one of the things that you've got to be able to appreciate when it comes to politics is, are you going to be easily moved or swayed by people's opinions? So in saying that, a lot of people do not know. I am non-partisan. I do not vote at all. I don't vote. I literally do not vote. And neither is my allegiance to any political party. I'm critical of the whole damn lot of them. What do I think about Labor? I don't think anything about Labor. I think Labor is filled with left-wing extremist lunatics that, feel comfortable there. That's what I think about. That's what I think about Labor. What is my thoughts towards the Greens? I don't have anything positive to say about the Greens either. And so this is what a lot of people don't know about me on this platform is you're going through the feeds and you're just going, oh, she's at Pauline again. No, I'm critical of a lot of them. And also my commentary is based from a rural and remote Aboriginal perspective. And so I will make commentary based on how it affects us as Aboriginal people from a rural and remote or a regional area. That's my perspective, and that will be my commentary based on that. Sometimes I do make commentary based on things like, especially with the domestic violence, the funding cut. That was just absolutely crazy. For just nearly $40 million cut from domestic violence, and that should worry us all. There was someone that made a very good comment. I think his name, I can't remember his name. Let me look up his name. I want to tell you what he wrote in the comment section, and I appreciated what he wrote. He was being critical of me, and you can be critical of me. I don't lose myself. I'm not going to have a hissy fit over it. I like a good conversation, whether you're for or against me. If you're for me, then you're for me. If you're not against me, then that's fine. But I want to read you what he wrote, and I actually really appreciated what he did say because it's true. And when I was criticising the LNP here in Queensland, so he wrote, but even with the 40 million less, which was just reallocated, the LNP has put more money into DV than any other state government in the last 10 years. And he said, go figures. And my response was, good point. In saying that, put in, then take away. Frontline workers are feeling the pinch and so are the victims. And he agreed with that. He said, health workers definitely don't get the recognition they deserve. And so there are times where I can see a comment there. I'll read it in 2 seconds, Kieran. There is times where I will make commentary based on those things because it affects us all. Okay, so Kieran wrote, money talks and her billionaire backer influence her narrative. Lydia Thorpe has the right idea to become a militant politically. Look, Kieran, I respect your opinion. I'm not for, I cannot stand Lydia Thorpe at all, at any second, at any given moment. But yet I've got family members that bloody love her. They love Lydia Thorpe, whereas I'm just not a Lydia Thorpe. I do not support Lydia Thorpe. I think she's literally an overreactor. But yet I can see what you're saying. I just personally am not for Lydia Thorpe at any given moment, at any given time. And so I think that, you know, when it comes to Australia, I think at the basis of where we should be heading in this nation is definitely unity together. But the fact of the matter is that there will never be unity in this nation. We've got to be able to find something that gets our attention, brings a unified message to the rest of the world as to where our stance is within this nation. And what I feel, and which I'm very passionate about, is protecting our nation borders. I think that's very important. I think that's where if there are things that we disagree about, whether it's religion, whether it's this, whether it's that, I think us protecting our borders and our internal national security, I believe that should be the first and foremost of any given thing at any given time. And so I did a video in relation to my thoughts about Pauline Hanson's stance on her going to see and going to speak to the 3 young ladies at the Islamic school. My stance is quite simple. She's got the balls to go and stand and go and sit in an Islamic school and challenge 3 young Muslim women. Why can't she do that with the NSN? And no one seems to be getting what I'm talking about. Why can't she go sit down on national television and go and have a decent conversation and challenge the mindset of the NSN? The NSN are terrorist. They're a terrorist organisation. And whether you like to admit it or whether I would like to admit it, it is what it is. And they're a threat to our national security. They are a threat within this nation, but yet no one wants to touch that. Blows me down as to why that conversation is not happening. Why aren't we having that conversation? Why aren't we echoing that voice? That it's about time that she stand up, and if she wants to be the Prime Minister, then take it by the balls of the horns and go and have that damn conversation, because that will put people's minds at ease. At the moment, she's just, I don't take responsibility. I'm not a part of them. I've got nothing to do with them. Yeah, but a good leader in this nation would step up and denounce it and literally cut it off at the root. Why can't she do that? That's what I fail to understand. I fail to understand as to the reasons why she will not have that conversation. And because of that, I don't respect her. I will not respect any leader that will not get up and call it out. And that's why a lot of us don't have respect for Albanese. I'm not one of them blackfellas that I'm just going to sit there and say, well, I like Albo because he supports Aboriginal people. Sorry, not for me. He is not for me at any given moment, at any given time. Now, another thing that I do want to touch on, so one of the things that I do want to touch on, it just skipped my mind. It just went. It literally just left my mind and I forgot what the heck I was going to say. But it was definitely Kieran. That's right. That's why bloody missed what I was going to say because Kieran, you wrote a comment. So you have read and watched Kanga and his social media posts. He is very much aligned with your ideology. I know exactly who Kanga is. I knew him way before you did. We actually know him from TikTok. Kanga has changed a lot. We had to work with him consistently to actually stop hating white people. And that was a big problem, I can tell you that much. And so, yeah, there are a lot of things that we agree with. But for me, supporting him publicly, not anymore. I no longer support him whatsoever. A lot of us have become like that, where there's no longer that public support due to certain reasons. He's got a long way to go, a long way to go. He's only young. And I think when you are on a public platform, you've got to be able to really take everything into consideration and not deny your heritage, first of all. And I'm not saying he's denying his heritage whatsoever. I'm just saying in a generalized sense. Yet she goes and visits and does podcasts with Tommy Robertson, a UK far-right activist. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever understand that. I don't think there's going to come a time where we actually understand that. But the alignment is definitely there because that's where she wants to take the nation. Do I believe that she will become the Prime Minister of Australia? No, I do not. And I know that a lot of people are hoping that she will, those especially that are diehard supporters of Pauline Hanson and One Nation. But she will not become the Prime Minister of Australia. Labor will get back in. There is more support for the far left than there is for the far right. And we've got to also remember that she came back into popularity again after the Bondi situation, where, she had been calling that out for a long time, that if we didn't protect our national security from within, then something was going to happen. And so that's when a lot of people became awakened. There is a lot of commentators that I see on social media that were not even for Pauline Hanson, but then after the Bondi situation, then they're all like, oh, we should have listened, oh, Pauline. There is a lot of commentators that have been calling it out way before Pauline even came onto the scene, post 9/11, that the West then was under threat, that we had to protect our national security. So, it's not new with what she's saying. And we've got to ask the question as to why she feels the way that she feels. For me personally, that is the first and foremost belief system that I've got, is national security. Whether you support Pauline Hanson or you don't support Pauline Hanson, if you're a far left or if you're centralized like me and you've got elements of each side that you can see good in, there should be one thing that we're standing on, and that is national security. It is the national security of this nation that we've got to stand and say that that's first and foremost. Beyond, it goes past political parties. It goes past bias. It goes past, it should go straight past all of that. And national security should be, I was going to write an article on this, but the article will take so long because there is bloody so much research that I have to do. But what I would really like to see happen in this nation is I would like to see, and this is gonna sound outrageous what I'm going to say, but this is how I feel politically within this nation. When it comes to national security, there should be a doctrine that is legislated in Australia where national security is the foundation of this nation. And that's going to sound offensive to my own people, being, Aboriginal. But I'm not saying, okay, let's just chuck, our heritage to the side or our identity to the side. It's fast moving that the West is under threat due to radicalisation right across the West. We're under threat. And it's either it's either it gets implemented and the proper policies are scrutinized, and this is what Pauline Hanson is talking about. She's been talking about it for a very long time. There is many people that have been talking about it for a very long time. Is that these migration policies have to be written in a way where people are boxed in. It's literally that hard to come into this nation. Poland, for example, they don't let immigrants or migrants into their nation. I'll definitely fact check that now, but as I understand, they've got it ain't open for interpretation unless it's only for migrants. Not immigrants. So Poland's immigration policy combines a push for strict border control with an increasing economic reliance on foreign labour. The system is largely dictated by the following recent updates: asylum and borders. So Poland has temporarily suspended the rights of migrants to claim asylum, and its borders has officially opted out of the key elements of the EU migration pact. Labour and digitalisation. The government mandates a fully digitalised work permit application process. Well, there you go. That covers that part. Fees for work permits have increased up to fourfold, and penalties for illegal employment have been tightened. Ukrainians in Poland. So this was quite interesting. A special protection measures establishment after 2022 are being phased out. That's one of the things that I found very, very interesting, is that it's being phased out with reductions in certain health, accommodation and family benefits of non-working adults. So that's what I found really, it's something that the West is often referring to Poland due to their immigration policy. And this is what should be happening here in Australia. Now, I believe Australia's gotten to the point now where it is no longer, I won't say the word tolerant, because tolerant can be, offensive, but, and I'm trying not to be offensive to any migrant or immigrant, more of to the migrants, because I believe they have a right to be here. Australia wouldn't be a working class nation without migrants. No matter where you travel in regional areas, there's migrants working because the locals don't want to work. And so that's one of the things. But when you've got third world countries that are in civil war and then being transferred, and I like to use the word transferred because that's what it is. There's a transference. They're going from their war-torn countries and then coming over here. Like, so there's this just complete transference of that was there and now this is here in Australia. And this is what she's been talking about for a very long time. Stricter policies of when you are bringing migrants from third world countries and they're not being scrutinized. They're not being scrutinized whatsoever. There's this fine line. I don't even freaking know who the foreign bloomin' thing person is at the moment. Let me look that up. I really want to know. Connie, what's her freaking name? Penny Wong. I'm pretty sure it's Labor. Penny Wong, there we go. So she drives me insane. She's so smart, but she's so dumb. She drives me literally insane. So she's the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and she drives me insane with the stupidity of, I have no tolerance for this woman. Like I said, she's smart but dumb at the same time. It just seems like Australia has gotten to the point where I'm still trying to find the word that I'm trying to, it's not tolerant. It's just like, okay, we're going to accept you into the nation. Yeah, we're just going to bring you over here. Yeah, you've just come from civil war, and civil war looks like this in your nation, but we're going to bring you over here in Australia and let you become a part of our society. Well, that I don't feel comfortable about that. And there is no person in Australia that should feel comfortable about that. We don't know what civil war looks like. In our era, we don't know. We don't know what civil war looks like. What are you trying to say, sister? That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm really trying to get to that point, and I'm finding it so freaking hard. It's not funny. And it's because at the end of the day, as somebody who is, I'm not loyal to any political party. I'm not loyal. I'm not loyal to the left. I'm not loyal to the right. I'm not loyal to that one. I'm not loyal to that one. I'm loyal to Australia and loyal to my own people. And so then we've got to get to a point where is the nation of Australia and our home security, which is an American term, but our national security, shouldn't that be the focus? And that's what I'm struggling to understand. It's because when you begin to have this conversation of national security, then that's when it seems racist. That's when it becomes a racist conversation, because it looks like you're pushing this person out, and it looks like you're pushing that person out, and it looks like you're separating the waters. Well, if that's what we have to do, regardless of which side of the politics you sit on, if we have to separate the waters to protect our national security, then shouldn't that be what we're doing? Shouldn't that be the whole focus? And if I did vote, I still wouldn't vote for Pauline Hanson. So this is why it's a struggle. And I'm finding it very hard to articulate what it is that I want to say, because there is no way in the world that I'd vote for her anyway, because of the policies that she wants to implement, especially against Aboriginal people. So, when it comes to Aboriginal people and where she wants to take us into this oneness with the rest of Australia, I don't agree with that. I don't. I just do not agree with that. I will never agree with it at any given moment, at any given time. Now, Aboriginal people are sovereign people of this country. And we have been stripped away from so much, but yet been given so much that in so long we still haven't got it right. And it is really hard. It is a really hard conversation, because there is a few Aboriginal people that just don't think like people like ourselves, whereas we're for ourselves first. Aboriginal people who have been brought up like that will always be for ourselves first. But in saying that, home security, I believe, should be very, very bloody important. And for me personally, as I've said before, that should come before being Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, is the home security of this nation. So it is. It's a very hard conversation. They need to bring back our own industries again and pull out of all global trade deals. Frickin' oath. 100% I agree with that. I think another thing that I also agree with is, and I've been having this conversation for a long time, not on Facebook, but on other social media platforms, where we shouldn't have been in a fuel economic crisis in the first place. Well, we've got everything we need here. So how come we don't have our own fuel sovereignty? Why are we relying on Asia or all these other countries to give us fuel when we've got everything that we are a rich nation? We've got everything that we need, but yet they sold it all off. So fuel economy. So that was one of the things that I found very, very interesting, is that they sold off our fuel factories back in the day. And I don't even know if you call them factories anymore. It's just what I still call them. I call them fuel factories. I find that bloody absolutely crazy. What is it called? Fuel. Does anybody know the name of it? Fuel. Oil refinery. Davy Doris. Okay. So I found this so alarming when I investigated this years ago because I had to do something on this. We had everything that we needed here, and then the past government made a decision, yep, get rid of it, and because it had private investors, they sold the bastards off. Oh, why would you do that? Anyway, yes, refineries. Gosh. I don't know. Yeah. That's just what I believe. And it ain't hard, guys. It all boils down to common sense. In this elections that's coming up, we've got to make a decision. For those that vote, I don't vote. But those that vote, you've got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision. Are you voting based on what's needed in this nation? Are you voting based on morals? Or are you voting based on freedom? And freedom, I'm not talking about freedom in the sense of, the freedoms and rights within this nation. I'm talking about the freedoms of those things that we who have morals don't agree with. So I'm talking about the transgender movement. I'm talking about all that stuff because I don't support it. I do not support transgenderism at any given moment, at any given time. I will not lay down my morals to support that. Definitely not in a million years. So this is what we've got to make a decision. For those that vote, you've got to make a decision. Are you going to vote based on what's needed in this nation? Which is, if I voted, that's bloody difficult, because if I voted, I wouldn't go for Pauline. I wouldn't. Because you've got to look at all the policies that she wants to implement. But at the same token, I live my life based on morals. And I live my life based on common sense. Do I believe the Labor Party is good for Australia? Oh, frig no. Oh, hell no. Nah. They're pushing us back. They're pushing us back further in this nation. But yet they're good for Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander people. They're good for us. But the flip coin is that they're running this nation into the ground. And so that's why I say, you've got to be able to make a decision. What is it that you're voting for? What is it that you want? And where do you want this nation to go? Because even Aboriginal people have to draw the line in the sand and say, are we going to vote based on common sense and morality? Or are we going to vote based on what it is that we need as Aboriginal people? Because that's where the Labor government comes in. The Labor government is good for Aboriginal people. But in my opinion, it's running this nation into the ground. Based on who provides a greater policy on generally closing the gap, I agree. Kieran, I agree with that. And yeah, Jacinta Price is really confusing in her rhetoric. One of the things that with Jacinta is she's just moving where the popularity goes. Yeah, she's just moving. She doesn't like to be, she's one of them people, she doesn't like to be unliked. And so she'll rather be unliked from her own people and loved by everybody else. You see, you can be an Aboriginal person and stand for truth. Even if you got to divide a whole nation, you can still stand on truth, but be loved by your people because your people agree that it's true with what you're saying. But you don't have to chuck your mob under the bus. You do not have to chuck your people under the bus. One of the things that I also find very disappointing with where this nation is going, 100% Margie, 100% I agree with you. That's mate. I a couple of months ago there was this what do you call it? Thing going on in Mount Isa, an event. And I actually got an opportunity to talk to a couple of her family members. Jordan, they was going off their heads, eh? Like proper going off their heads. And I think, like I said, you as a black fella should be able to tell the truth because you know that it's the truth. But your mob go, no, that's right. Like it may sting a little bit, but your mob circle around and say, you know what, that's true. And yeah, we need to go down that path. Not to the point where you're chucking your mob under the bus and just to get to where you're going. Yeah, no, sorry. That's sad. It should always be honesty and truth. That's why I'm sorry for Auntie. I love Lydia. That's okay. You can love Lydia. I'm not going to hate you because you love Lydia. Like I said, I've got a lot of family members. They are diehard Lydia Thorpe fans. I'm not. I am not. I'm just not. She don't do it for me. She don't do it for me. And I think she does a lot more damage to this nation. As an Indigenous woman, I believe that the radicalisation, her language that she uses, and you also have to remember that her own mob down there thinks she cuckoo too. You know, like, yeah, I don't, as a black fella, I wouldn't go running into wherever they were holding that thing where the king come, you know, when the king was here. I wouldn't do that. That's mental health issues. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. What you got to go run up to the king for and say, you're not my king and all that? Why you got to, like, why didn't you just make shirts and go and sell shirts to say that he's not the king? Like, but to do that all theatrical, all the big theatricals that come with her, I can't do it. I can't do it. I think there are really good examples of people who they're just very modest about the way they do things. And I don't find her modest. I find her quite cuckoo. Do I believe that there's hope for her to mature up? Yeah. I think you got to hit a couple of wrongs before you hit a good right. But Victorian politics are completely different to Queensland politics. So what goes on down in Victoria, it does affect us. It does affect us greatly in you know, other states and territories. It just seems like Victoria is the practice ground as to what the government can get away with. It's like it's a big what's the word? It's a big trial. It's like a big testing ground to see whether the government can get away with certain policies, with what they want to push into all Australians. That's a really perfect example. No other way people will listen otherwise to be militant sometimes and do something grand. Well, that's true too. I must say I listen to him too. He makes sense. I do stand for what he stands for mostly. Susan, I think you're talking about Kanga. Yeah, so yeah, it is strange. It is strange, but I do stand on what I say. And when I say something, I don't undo it. I'm serious when I say. If there's one thing that should draw all people in this nation together is national security. And national security in this country is at threat. It's been at threat for a very long time. Post 9/11, it's been at threat. The whole West has been under threat. And we've got to get to a place where we've got to make up our damn minds where it is that we want to go in this nation. Now, we could leave at this election, which is in 2 years' time, and we can just see the way that things unfold, because I certainly do believe that One Nation's not going to win. There is more support, I'll repeat myself again, there is more support for Labor than there is for One Nation. And I'll eat my words if they win, but not very likely. Hi, Marcus. Not very likely. Yeah, I can't. there's more on the left than there is on the right, because people love to live unmoral. I'm just going to put it like that. People like to live unmoral. You've got this transgender bullshit. Sorry, and I don't swear, but I just have I really can't stand the stupidity of this transgender movement in this nation, where now we've got to consider giving up our rights as biological women. So you've got more people on that side than you have on the right. And I'll tell you how much these transgender people lose themselves is there was some transgender people that was all for Pauline Hanson. Yeah, they loved her. The big white hope, that's how they was carrying on. Big white hope, the hope of, Australia's going to finally do what Australia want. Next minute, she goes and makes a statement about the transgenders, and then they flip it and they're back on the left now. The meltdowns, the consistent meltdowns, and them thinking that we've got to give up our biological rights as women to appease to that stupid ideology. Sorry, it ain't for me. And so what I'm trying to say is that there's more on the left that there are on the right. Hence why I firmly believe that one nation won't win. The only way one nation's going to win is if there's some intervention and some deal done. That's the only way I can see it. So, and one of the things that, while we're touching on transgenders, when I say what I say, I ain't going to change it. And there's a lot of people that get offended. I don't care. I don't have to change my morals to suit you. At any given moment, at any given time, we don't have to change. If you are for the transgender and you're fine with that, then you're fine with that. But don't enforce it on other people. I think this is great. We can all have opinions. I have learned so much listening to others' opinion, even yours says, thank you, Susan. Yeah, we all got to learn. We all got to learn. We all got to have a healthy discussion. And I'm going to be live streaming on all platforms soon. So that'll be middle of August. So I don't have to repeat my conversations on different platforms. And it has been a long time since I have been consistently talking on Facebook about this. Another thing that I do want to say is what I seem to see what's happening, which is very alarming as a Christian who is not perfect. So don't put me on a pedestal. There is no perfection in my Christianity, but I love the Lord and I will never turn my back on Jesus Christ. And that's offensive to a lot of people. And I really don't care. So anyway, what I noticed happening here in this nation also is I did a little article on it where I wrote a little brief as to why Aboriginal Christians would most likely vote One Nation. It's based on morals. Even though probably 2% of One Nation are actually Christians. But it's got to do with the morals, the moral foundation, the morals on what they believe in. So what I seen was Pauline Hanson said something where she mentioned about gay marriage. So she just says, no, don't support it. Hi, Harley, how are you? I also seen something along the lines of, okay, well, her with the transgender, right? That was made very open. So this is the reason why Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Christians may vote One Nation, is it's based on Christian godly principles, despite One Nation, maybe 2% Christians, like full-on Christians. And then you've also got non-Indigenous Christians who I seen on a thread on YouTube. They're all praying that Pauline Hanson become the Prime Minister of Australia based on morals. And so that's just what it is. And then you've got other Aboriginal people who may not be necessarily be voting based on morals, but vote based on equality. Because there are a lot of Aboriginal people out there that they're sick of the Great Divide, and they literally want just unity between all people. Do I honestly see Australia becoming a unified nation? No, I don't. I don't believe we'll ever become a unified nation. It's just the way that it is. Because we live in a so-called democracy where you have the majority against the minority. I don't see it happening. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people fight within themselves. Why do we think? And then you got white fellas, you'll fight between yourselves. You know, you have Muslims all fighting, but we all fight between ourselves and our own people. So then how is the nation supposed to become to the point where we're unified? And I believe the only way we are going to become unified is in the best interest of this nation, which is, as I've said, national security. I honestly believe if there is something that we should all agree with, whether you are an extremist left or a left wing, or you're just you're centralized, you're really not for any political party, you may not even vote, but you believe that we are to protect our borders, we are to protect this nation, we are to do everything possible to protect this nation. I think that could work. But that's a divisive message. And it's a message filled with racism. It's a message filled with so much hate because it brings division. And that division will always be there. So if we can't become unified over national security, despite how uncomfortable it feels within each and every one of these ethnic and minority groups around Australia, if we can't reach that for the sake of national security, we will never ever become unified. Because like I said, that's such a racist thing to talk about. And is there any hope for Australia? Is there any hope? Are we going to get to a point where we have hope, where we feel protected, where we feel safe? And Pauline Hanson talks about all this bull crap. Oh, you know, the babies, they're going to school hungry, they're eating out of bins, they're doing this, and Labor tried to implement policies to make things easy and she went against it. See? It's just a constant war and a pissing contest against politicians that they're too busy fighting each other than worrying about the citizens, worrying about every citizen in this nation and what works best for us. So she goes on and she can spin a good yarn and make it sound all deadly, but yet she's one of the instigators that's within the Senate that's fighting to keep us to where we are as well. And it's like she does it deliberately to get to where she wants to go. So it makes her look like the good person. So that's why it is what it is. And it is very sad. It is very, very sad. But if we can't have decent conversations in this nation without everybody getting offended, Australians are soft, man. Just a sooky ass nation. You can't touch this, you can't touch that, you can't touch that. Why can't we just be a nation where it's water off a duck's back? Well, you can have hard conversations, but how can you have hard conversations when you look at them idiotic politicians fighting and carrying on like little kids in the Senate? Oh, great examples they are of representing a unified nation. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to nut it out. They're paid to scrutinise every legislative bill to get us to where we want to go in this nation. It's just what they do. They're paid to do that. They're paid to keep us where we are. And I think one of the things that I would really love to see in this nation, but everyone's too invested in politicians, but we got to take our own power back as the people. The people. We're doing it because that's what we want to do. We want to do it for ourselves. But that will never happen either because we're a lazy damn nation. That's why you got to have migrants over here to work, because we're the laziest people on the face of the planet, all reliant on Centrelink, and our Anzacs fought for that. Our Anzacs went to war so that we can be a nation sitting on Centrelink, not working, and you got to bring people from over third world countries or wherever the hell they come from to do the work for us because we're that friggin' lazy. Yeah, that's what the Anzacs fought for. Absolutely putrid, absolutely disgusting. And, but I would like to say that if there is one thing, if I did vote, if I ever did vote in my life, I would want to vote for somebody like Kieran said. He said something there. I can't see the comments now. He said something along the lines of have good policies, something that appeases to all of us, something that just fits the agenda of every single person in this nation. Will we get there? I hope we do. Do I believe that it's going to happen in our nation, in our generation? No, I do not believe that we will see that happening in our generation, but I do believe that it will happen in the next generation. We've got a great generation that's rising up in this nation. They're getting a great education. They're a lot more unified than the nations before us. They're unified within, because they want that togetherness. There just seems to be something happening in our youth where that sort of, it's not fractured as much as when it was fractured in my generation, fractured in the generations behind us. And that's got to do with because we are 237 years old. Moving forward, I do believe that I can see it happening based on what's happening with our youth. I honestly believe that our kids will get there. Our grandchildren will get there. I just don't believe it's going to be happening in our generation because we're too hard-headed. We still like to fight. We still like to argue. We still like to nut it out and want to be all me. And I think at the basis of that, though, is that if there is no respect for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, there will be no moving forward in this nation until there is a recompense. A truth, a recompense, because you want to do that, because you believe in that, because that's what you feel you want to do. There will be no moving forward in this nation, and that is why I say it will be the generations to come, because they are being educated in the school systems at the moment based on the truth about this nation. Therefore, that's why I believe that it will happen coming forward. And I honestly believe that there, see, Susan believes it. It's about the national security. I believe it. I believe it. I believe that national security has to be in the foundation of this generation, our generation right now. That's where our mindset should be. William says, one nation fits our agenda despite what our people think. Who cares? It's our best bet to bring back our nation in line with our values. I agree with that. I agree. But I would never vote one nation. And this is what I'm talking about, is that's that division that's within this nation, is because everything she says, William, it's so appeasing. But there's the elements of things that just go, nah, can't do it. But I do honestly believe that if we can come down to national security as the foundation, William, what you're talking about, despite all of that, we can move forward. We can move forward. If there's one thing we should fight for in our generation, is national security. There will be no real unity in Australia until we recognise that closing the gap is our number one priority. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Closing the gap is imperative. How do we close the gap? This is what we as Aboriginal people are struggling to get to. It is the literal closing the gap. Out of how many of the recommendations? I think there's 17 recommendations. I think only 3 or 2 was done. Nineteen of them. We are so far off. We are so far off the charts. So what is it? So there's 17. Okay, 17. Digital inclusion. The target aims to ensure that Aboriginal and Torres Strait people have equal right. Okay, so that's digital. I'm not interested in digital. I know a lot of people talk about digital, but it is important to get to there because of the remote locations where our people are accessing digital to make things a lot more easier. So there are a lot of our people that work hard for digital sovereignty. Being back at SIC, it was amazing organisation that really stood up for genuinely closing the gap. And that is today NIA. As I believe NIA now takes over that role of ATSIC. Look, guys, I don't know. Seriously, I don't know. Closing the gap just seems like it's one of those things where if you are an Aboriginal controlled organisation, yeah, you can grab it. You can apply for the money, but the money doesn't hit the ground running. And I guess too, if you are a new ACO, that's going to cost a lot of money to get it up and running. So therefore, the first funding, 5 years, you can get $10 million. You got to use it up in 5 years. It's going to take an ACO at least 5 years or 10 years to get all your policies implemented and then hit the ground running. So it's crazy. Could it be done easier? I don't know. I have no idea. But it ain't just easy to run an organisation, grab your closing the gap money. It is a big struggle. It's a struggle to get it up and running, and to make sure that, you got your recommendations from the community. You're making sure that it's culturally appropriate. You got consultancy fees. You got all this other crap. That's why half of the money doesn't hit the ground running. You got to pay for lawyers. You got to pay for this. You got to pay for that. I've got some stories. I'm going to actually do that on a live by itself, and I'm going to give a yarn about what I've learnt from other people that investigate where the closing the gap money goes, and it just does my head in, literally does my head in. And the nepotism, just the nepotism, it's just so toxic. But closing the gap's been out how long now? This one's for 2025, closing the gap. It's only just come out recently. I don't even know, I've lost count. 2020. Yeah. So it might have been 2019. Maybe somebody else knows that without me having a look. 100% coming from Wiradjuri. We need to unite. Black man needs white man. 100%. We need each other. This whole division is poised with bad judgment that the outsiders have had. The bad influencer is that if infiltrated our mob is bad upon us, and hence why we need to, you're right. Yeah, it makes sense. 100%, William. 100%. I totally agree with you. We need each other. We just need to find something that's going to unify us, which I believe, and I'm always going to say it, I'm going to stand on it, national security. Beyond everything, beyond everything, beyond closing the gap, beyond Aboriginal rights, beyond this, beyond that, is national security, because without national security, we have nothing. Without it, there will be no nation. And we have to protect our borders. We've got to protect from within. We've got to look after it. We've got to make it sacred. And if there's one thing that Aboriginal people understand, is how sacred our land is, how sacred that is. And that's why protecting our nation and our national security should be everything, Okay, so Kelly Hart says 2006 to 2007, that's when the Closing the Gap come out. So look at that, 2026, 20 years, and we haven't even gotten there yet. 20 years, but I've got, like I said, I'll have that on my next live. I found it very difficult tonight, guys, to get to where I was going, because there was just so much, and usually there is not a lot running through my head. Usually I can just rattle off a good yarn. And even Marg said, what are you trying to say? What I was trying to say was that I had so much going through me damn brain about where I wanted to take this conversation. And the conversation where I want to go is, despite whether you're on the left, despite whether you're centralized, despite your thoughts about any politician, despite what you want in your own personal life, national security should be the foundation. And I believe it needs to be indoctrinated in this nation. I believe that. I believe it needs to be sacred. I believe that it should be the first and foremost thing, that despite your religion, despite anything, that's got to be the foundation of this nation. And Penny Wong's frigged it up. Labor's frigged it all up. I don't know which other mobs frigged it up. I think the Greens have frigged it up too. They've all frigged it up. Too scared. Why wouldn't you want to stand up for your people, for your nation? Why wouldn't you want to protect that? Why wouldn't you? See, I fail to understand that. I'd rather offend somebody than deny the protection of our nation. I don't understand that. I don't see why that's offensive. If you've got to divide a whole nation and part those damn borders and cause a great divide in this nation to protect the borders, and that's what you do. That's what you do. Because without that, there is nothing. And it is what it is, guys. And thank you all so much. Like I said, August, halfway between August, I will be live streaming on all platforms. And I'm really excited to start having some more conversations. It's been a long time since I have been live on Facebook. I've been busy working in the background with everything that I've got to do. And so I rarely get time to live stream anymore. Hence why I thought, stuff it. I'm just going to go live on all platforms so I don't have to repeat myself. I don't like repeating myself. Even though sometimes when you are talking, you've got to repeat it because they've got new people coming in. We've got to love our nation more than we love ourselves, guys. That's what it is. We've got to love this nation more than we love our own damn selves, because if we can love this nation more than we love ourselves, that means we're willing to sacrifice. We're willing to sacrifice what we want for the future generations. And that's a bit of an oxymoron statement too, because I'm going to be bringing up other topics and you're going to go, what the hell? But she said that. And so there's so much that I want to bring out. And I love that people are following me, but I'm a loose cannon. I'm such a loose cannon. Once I say something, I don't take it back. I stand on it. And if I say it, it's because I believe it. And there's more to my logic than what I'm thinking. And so there is so much that is at stake for us as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. There is so much at stake. So much at stake. And that one will be live on all platforms. So I definitely do not have to repeat myself. But there is something that's going to come up and you're just going to go, what the hell did she just say? What the actual hell? And so, yeah, that's what it is. That's definitely what it is. And my question is, how many of you are going to stand on that? How many are you that's going to sacrifice what you want to protect this nation? Are we going to war tomorrow? How the frig do we know? How the hell do we know? We don't know that. We don't know what's around the corner, guys. We have no idea what people are plotting around the corner. Cannot we just support the nation for once and lay down arms and go, yeah, we're willing to do this? But that's racism. And that's what Pauline Hanson does. That's where she stands. She stands in that. And that's what divides a nation. Is because to have that conversation, to go there, to push that limit, to push the boundaries, is to hurt and offend everybody. Do I support Pauline Hanson? No, I do not. But I definitely do agree with her for national security. 100%. I do support her with that. If we stop paying our politicians, then that will make the politicians to work necessary to sort out this country instead of their political parties. I need to read that again. If we stop paying our politicians, then that will make politicians to the work necessary to sort out. I can't read that. I'm sorry. My brain must be going really, really dead with that. But I think what you're saying is that if we stop paying our politicians, then the politicians will work for us. Is that what you're saying? Thank you, Kieran. You got follower. Thank you. Yeah, William, I stand on that too. 100%, 100%. I stand with Australia and I'm ready. See, that's where we are. But that's the great divide in this nation. And I think it's having those healthy conversations. It's you echoing that on your own platforms, whether you are if you consistently post on social media. I think we've got to have those conversations within our families, within our community, where we're asking ourselves, are we willing to lay it all down to protect our national security? Yeah, because you just don't know what's around the corner. We have no idea. We have no idea. We don't know. And it's sort of like, did they know Bondi was going to happen? Yeah. AFP, did the AFP know? Did anybody know? Did anybody at any given time know that was going to happen? No, I don't believe there might have been suspicions that they were going to go down that track. But I literally do not believe that anybody knew, that anybody saw that coming. And so it is such a big conversation. It's a gigantic conversation. But we've got to make a choice. There is a line in the sand in this nation where you've got to make a choice. But if you're anything like me and you don't vote, then you don't have to make a choice. Because I just don't have faith in politicians. They say they never deliver and they push us back 20 years. It would be really great if we were able to have somebody that could deliver, but that's not how it works. You get, your Prime Minister has no power in this nation whatsoever. It's the Senate. That's the most powerfulest position that anybody could be in at any given time. And look at the way those clowns carry on. But it's us. It's us, the civilians. It's us. We've got to make that choice where we want this nation to go. And Do I hate people that vote for Pauline Hanson? No. But I do call it racist. But I won't hate you. I've got a lady here, I think her name is Amira, last name James. She follows me. She's all Pauline Hanson. I don't hate her. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that follow me that are for Pauline Hanson. I don't hate them, but I disagree with the policies that Pauline Hanson has. But I will stand on one, and that is national security. Would you ever take part in one of the marches? No. No, not at all. No. 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 Hang on. Which march? Which march are you talking about? Are you talking about the Make Australia Great Again marches? Oh, hell no. I would never march beside that. No. Not really. I don't. Yeah, but it depends on what march you're talking about. I've never marched in my life. Never grew up marching. Although when I was younger, I used to be in the brigade where you do the marches and all that. That's the only time that when I was a kid then. But that's all I got time for, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's going to be up here. You can clip whatever you want to clip. If you want to share it out, share it out. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I think if we can just appreciate each other a little bit more. You're laughing at me, eh, Susan? You know what I'm talking about when you used to be in the marches, eh, when you were younger? It's the marches. Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about. I think if we can appreciate each other a little bit more and have healthy dialogue, especially here on Facebook, because Facebook is a completely different platform, which I said that at the very beginning. I like Facebook. It's more mature, filled with morons and idiots that need a good skull dragon, but it's good in the sense of for written form of communication. So I do love that. I love that you can come on here and still read articles. LinkedIn is another great one. TikTok, Instagram, they're fast moving, so you lose people's brains very quick. Facebook is completely different. I think it's more mature based, with borderline morons, schizophrenics that are sitting down smoking ice and come on here and go, who the hell could I torment today? I think, you know, if you're putting up with some type of racist or whatever, just don't even worry about it. You know, don't go there. Racism and bias and prejudice, it comes in all forms. I think if you're going to believe in something, you're going to believe in that and you're going to stand in that. But one of the things that I would really like to encourage people to do is stand in national security. I don't think there's anything more important in this nation right now. I think something's ready to come down and happen in this nation. There's this boiling and there's something happening in this nation, and it just feels like there's something that's ready to burst like a pressure cooker. And I honestly believe with my whole heart something's ready to go down in this nation. And when it happens, it's going to be too late, because there's no coming back. If we think for 1 second that Bondi was bad, no, Australia is way overdue. Listen to what I said. Australia is way overdue for what those within the West have experienced apart from us. And it was shocking with what happened in Bondi. But we are only on the tip of the iceberg, and it's going to happen. Oh, you love them earrings. Don't be a dumb dog. So Arnie Roz has let people know in the comments that she's got some out of stock. I'm going to get in contact with her. I'm going to get her daughters to send me some so that I can advertise them on here. Now, also, guys, I create merchandise. You can support me with my platforms and helping to support me. You can buy me a coffee by going into the link in the bio and buying me a coffee. Or I've got some fantastic shirts that's just come out. You ain't seen this design before. It's the first time that you're going to see a design. It's the Aboriginal flag with the long horns on it, and it's there to represent our old people. And look, you don't have to be black to wear the Aboriginal shirt. Like, wake up to yourselves. Everybody. It may be our flag, but the government bought it. So that's what I'm going to say. Anyway, I'm going to flip the camera. I don't even know how to do that. I'm going to flip the camera. I don't know how to flip the camera. Does anybody know how to flip the camera? I don't know how to flip the damn camera. Flip the camera. I don't know. Anyway, do you do jumpers? Yes, I do jumpers. There is jumpers available there. If you go, I wanted to flip the camera, but I sound like them old girls now, ignoring everybody and concentrating on flipping the damn camera. 46 minutes ago, I put up the post. There is jumpers, long sleeve. It's only in black. Next season, I'll add a couple more colors. I'll have white. I'll have a tan and another color. And so go and buy it. That's how you can support me, by buying me a coffee and buying my merch. I spend the majority of my time on the road, traveling, doing what I'm basically doing now, but within community. So however you want to support me is however you want to support me. It costs $5 to buy coffee. If you don't want to buy me 5 coffees, buy me 5 coffees. But please go in and buy one of my Longhorn Aboriginal jumpers, shirts, whatever. Right now there is Afterpay available. There is no design like it, literally no design like it. Mine are coming right now. And the next time I'm live, which will be in August, I'll have that shirt on, or the jumper or something. I have some other merch that are available. Yep, you got to buy some. Come up to see. Yep, I'm actually coming up to Weipa. I've got to go and visit my family up there. I've got a couple of interviews. I want to do some podcasts up there with my family members who are Christians, who are traditional owners in Mapoon. And so they don't know that I'm coming up there, but I've just announced it so that now they know I'm coming. So I've got a lot of travel coming up. I usually will put that up in the event section so people know where I am. But that's all I've got time for. Thank you so much. Go and check out my merchandise, link in bio, buy me a coffee, and make sure you buy one of those Aboriginal Longhorn shirts, jumpers, or hoodies today. You're going to bloody love it. Thank you guys.